Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Voltron comic review. This one is going to be my brief thoughts on the Voltron Legendary Defender trade paperback for the first arc of the Voltron comic from Lineforge Comics. So what this is this, as I said, collected edition of the first arc. What that means is that basically it is one book featuring all 5 issues in the first series. So this book collects these 5 individual issues. So I have reviewed each of these issues on my channel. You can find those. I think I have a playlist on my channel for Voltron reviews. You can find all the comic reviews there as well. I'll talk a little bit about the story, but for now, we obviously collect issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this collected edition. Now, unfortunately, there are no extras in this. I think that's, to me, a big disappointment with this, in that, given that this company, like, is... I'm not going to say Lineforge Comics are new, but, like, this series, Voltron, feels like their breakout kind of series. That's really going to get them kind of noticed. And for them not to do it kind of in the same way as, like, other companies that do trade paperbacks and not have any sort of extras, whether that be interviews with the creative team or showing all of the covers that were available over the run of this 5-issue series, saying anything about a potential season 2 just yet, it is a little bit disappointing that it's basically just the 5 issues. So there's definitely some slight frustrations to that. There's the back cover for anyone wondering. So yeah, this is canon to the Netflix show. Just so everyone's wondering, it is DreamWorks Voltron Legendary Defender, and it's canon. Now it's written by Tim Hedrick, who's obviously the writer on the show. Mitch Iverson is also involved in this, and then the digital art chefs are the artists on this comic as well. So I think the art is really nice. Let me find some of the kind of best art. So some of the double page spreads are just really, really nice. Like, look at that. That's the full spread of the image on the back. Really, really nice. They get the robot stuff with the lines and Voltron well, and they also do the character stuff very nicely as well. Let's try and find some more pretty good stuff. So there's some of the stuff with Allura, sort of for some of the character stuff. It's quite fun, for sure. For anyone wondering, this particular story arc is set after episode 8 of season 1, Rebirth. So it's set after, obviously, Allura is recovering from what she did on the Balmera as the Paladins go out training. There's a pretty nice cover image, really nice. That's not a cover, that's just Voltron forming. Another really nice double page spread there. So I think the art is pretty exceptional over the course of this comic, and it's definitely really nicely done. So briefly on the story of this, for anyone wondering what it is, the story is basically that the Paladins go on a training mission, and Karan is basically bringing them through this training mission. He brings them to a certain planet where they meet an old friend of his who is a member of a long-lived species, alien species, which lives for like over 10,000 years. So that's why this character is still alive. Karan ends up getting basically taken, kidnapped, held for ransom by this character because Karan owes him a lot of money or something like that from 10,000 years ago, and he talks about how, like, because it's been 10,000 years, the like interest on it has gone up and you can't pay me. The only way I will give you Karan back is if you get me this extremely rare, like kind of legendary kind of item, the Yalexian Pearl, which is basically guarded by these really strong beasts. And so Team Voltron has to work together, basically go through a lot of various kind of species to basically find their way to the Yalexian Pearl, get it, and win back Karan by obviously doing the hostage deal with trading the pearl for Karan. So that's the gist of the story, and like I wouldn't say it's super plot focused. It's definitely more of a fun story. Each of the issues tends to focus on one of the Paladins. I'd say overall Keith doesn't get a ton of focus here, but you have an issue that focuses more on Hunk. You have an issue that's more Lance focused. you have an issue that's more Paige focused, and then the last issue is sort of Shiro focused. Definitely the kind of less plot important characters from the show, like Shiro and Keith, don't get as much time in this comic as the other ones do. So there is that. But the way they do each of the issues is actually quite fun, in that Lance's issue, when he takes over, is basically like him narrating as if he's this like legendary hero, and you see him talk about, like, big up all his accomplishments. Paige's issue, where she is called into play to solve a lot of puzzles, her narration is kind of done like a computer, that like she talks about stuff in that sort of a way, and so it gets her personality across. The Hunk issue is very food focused, but it's interesting in relation to how they do it with the monster that they fight, and that Hunk's knowledge of food actually becomes valuable knowledge when they're fighting it. So it's pretty interesting. You know, you get to meet a good few different alien species. Some of the monsters are very, very unique looking, and just in general, you get some like fun interactions between the characters. You know, ultimately, like, how much can you actually take away from this comic that actually applies to knowledge of the show? Not a ton, but there are little things like in issue 1, like Karan brings them to a place where all of the original group of paladins used to hang out, and it's this table that they basically have reserved for the paladins, and their names are all written on it. We don't get to see the names. They don't read them out, but it's just this idea that the paladins from the past were known, and they had their own table in this place, and you get a few allusions to the previous paladins and kind of potential power-ups for some of the characters that are quite fun. And as I said, the art is also really well done. So obviously not a lot of people, I don't think, in the fandom were particularly aware that this comic was actually being released over the last couple of months. So the actual release here in trade paperback form, more of a mass market release, I think will draw more people's attention to the fact that there are Voltron comics. Because this is obviously now out in comic book stores, and in the next couple of days, weeks, like Amazon will get it in. I think in America it's actually already out in most bookstores, but this is going to be much more widely available now. And the price here, it says in the back, $14.99 US. I paid the same price in my local comic book store in euros. So just be aware that that's the price of it, which is actually perfectly fine. You get 5 issues. And a couple of extra pages where they show off, I think, the cover for each of these, and you get 1 or 2 extra pieces of art. It's not too bad. That comes to like $3 an issue, which is basically the same price as the single issues when they came out. So it's decent value for money, and you obviously get it kind of bound pretty well, and it's not just, you know, a single kind of floppy issue. So there's that, and you at the very end do get an advertisement for the Voltron toys as well. So yeah, not a ton else to say. As I said, my other videos where I actually review the story content of each of these comics is where you can actually get the details on what actually happened in each of them. But all I'll say is, like, I think it's a very fun story. It's better than most like comic tie-ins to like TV shows, in that it feels kind of very well written, even though it's not revealing anything important. It feels like, yes, the characters are really in character, they're acting the way they should be. If you missed in like season 1 and 2 them not having an insane amount of fights against beasts, you get a ton of them in this book as well. So just be aware of all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty much going to end the video there. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the comic series if you've read it, because I haven't seen too many people in the fandom actually discuss the comic full stop. So I'm always up for a discussion on it, because I haven't really seen many people talk about it. But yeah, other than that, let me know what your thoughts. If you have any questions on the comic series, also let me know. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.